I'll say the light actually is very flattering.
That did not.
Just remember, you're looking at all the people joining us.
I do okay. Yeah, I do okay.
No, you're gonna go behind me. The camera's going down there. It's gonna rejoin us. Oh, are you? Cool, perfect. Okay, but follow me. No, follow me. Yeah, you follow me. Cam follows you. I feel great. Sure. Hello, beautiful live stream people. I'm speaking to you right now. Amazing. Hey folks, it is such a blessing to have you join us from wherever you happen to be right now. We are about to start Kol Nidre in just a moment. I am with some of our most recent Blueprint students who just finished the conversion process only a few months ago. Today we imagine that a heavenly court is assembling above us, and they are actually helping us assemble an earthly court here as we begin the process of orienting ourselves toward our best selves. Again, wherever you're coming from, wherever you are so welcome here. Let's go.
Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul.
Because harm, we get hurt, we are broken, and so we learn. We hurt our loved ones when we don't know. We ruin the earth, and so we grow. We say mean words, we take wrong turns. We can't reverse, so we sing this verse. We are not, 'cause we are strong and flexible. This road is long.
Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul.
Every time we fall again,
We remind ourselves that we can mend.
with open heart.
With open hearts we turn to you. Oh, universe, help me see this change through.
Awaken my soul. 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 Awaken my soul.
We put all of our stubbornness aside, expose our fragility and let you guide. We put all of our stubbornness aside, expose our fragility and let you guide. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul. Awaken my soul.
Shalom, shalom, l'rachok v'lekarov. Welcome to those who have been far and who are now near, people who have been far away locationally, and also from this tradition, and you find yourself back here in this room tonight, maybe for the first time in a long time, maybe just for the first time this week. Welcome back. Welcome first-timers, welcome long-timers, welcome to Mishkan. We're glad you're here. Welcome to everybody who's joining us from home. We're very honored and grateful to be entering into this powerful day of reflection and ritual together. We're about to go into Kol Nidre. There's a Hasidic tale that describes a shul, some little shtibel, back in the old country, and the rabbi and the whole community is davening and very fervently, saying their prayers out of the book, and the rabbi at some point looks up and sees a child at the back of the room just kind of staring at everybody, not doing what everybody else is doing. And so the rabbi thinks, oh, poor kid, he doesn't know the words. So he says, you don't need to know the words to participate. You can just sing yai-dai-dai and, join in. Like maybe you've heard a rabbi here say. And, he looks out, after a few minutes and nothing's changed. The kid still looks uncomfortable and awkward, and everybody else is davening out of the book. And the rabbi says, forget even yai-dai-dai, just whatever tools you have at your disposal to pray to God, to connect with the Holy One, that's what you should do. God understands it all. And then he looks over and sees at a certain point, everybody's still doing their thing. They're davening like this, but the kid has reached into his pocket, pulled out a flute. And as everybody's fervently praying, all of a sudden the kid just hits a high note, closes his eyes, and pierces the heavens. And then hits a low note. And with his eyes closed, just plays with the fervency of, Yo-Yo Ma playing Beethoven, which is obviously an anachronism because this happened hundreds of years ago in the story, but you get it. And everyone turns around and looks at this child incredulously. What have you done desecrating this space? And the rabbi says, thank God for him. Because of that child and his flute, he pierced the heavens and let in all of your prayers that were piling up outside the gates. And so tonight, we're all a little bit like everyone in that room and also like the kid. We come not necessarily having the words to express all the unfulfilled promises we made to ourselves, to others, to God, to the world, things we thought we would do, and we come here and we intend, Infinite One, help us pierce through the hard shell that prevents us from really seeing the truth of ourselves. Help us pierce through the pride and the fear and the stories we tell ourselves that get in the way of becoming who we are, who we were put in this world to be. Tonight, all of us come here as avaryonim, transgressors, sinners, people who have missed the mark, people in need of forgiveness and forgiving. And so as we go into Kol Nidre, as we will in just a moment, feel free to, come on up. Caroline and Talius, who will be leading us tonight. We exhale and we release all of the unmet expectations and marks missed and unfulfilled dreams of this past year. We exhale, we let them go. We release the fear and the pride and the pretense, and we stand in the presence of the Yeshiva Shel Mala, the court on high, and the Yeshiva Shel Mata, this Beit Din right here, this earthly court, and we begin this beautiful and solemn and ultimately profoundly joyful day together that's full of so much possibility for transformation and healing. Are you ready? Yes? You're ready? Well then, let us begin. B'yeshiva shel mala, u'b'yeshiva shel mata, על דת המקום ועל דת הקהל אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריונים.
Kol Nidre Be'esarei V'charamei V'konamei V'chinoyei V'kinosei U'shevuot Din darna U'reishtabana U'reacharimna V'diasarna al nafshatana Yom Kippurim ze ad Yom Kippurim haba aleinu letova Kulchon icharatna vechon שביתין בטלין ומבוטלין לשרירין ולקיימין נדרנה לנדרי ואסרנה לאסרי ושבועתנה לשבוע. Kol Nidre Ureish Sabana Urei Acharimna Veti asarna al nafshatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim haba aleinu letova ulhon icharatna vehon ulhon yehon sharan shvikin shvitin betelin umvutalin lashririn velakayamin nidrana lanidre ve'esarana laesare ושבועתנה לשבוע.
ונשמח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם הזה בשגגה סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כי גודל חסדך כאשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר
Omer Adonai, Salachti
So now the secret is out. We begin with Kol Nidre. We begin by unburdening ourselves of the vows we didn't meet this year. We apologize in advance for the vows we haven't met for next year. And then we say, God, will you forgive us? And then God's like, yeah, of course. And so we spend the next 25 hours working on how we actually forgive ourselves and each other and all the people we're holding grudges against. And that's the real work of the day. We're going to put the Torahs away so these incredible Yidden, this Beit Din, can relax. Tova. May you be inscribed and sealed. Turn to a neighbor, welcome them, find out like how they're doing on this evening, and we're going to come back together and bless this moment. Find out who they are, where they came from. It's going to be a good night together. Hey.
I know.
You all.
Team.
You are MVP of the night. Feel free to stay up here if you want, but you can also come sit down. You did great. I mean, just until we do Baruch Hu, we're going to do Shehechianu, which is a blessing for new moments, and then you know, I guess you're all sitting down. Okay. Okay. What? Great.
My oldest is 3, so it might be a little while.
New Year jitters.
Amazing. You'll continue these conversations afterwards. Say to the person you're talking to, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're alive. Glad you're alive. And I'm glad I'm here and I'm glad to be alive. We made it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hihianu b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hihianu b'zman hazeh. Before we go any further, I know you wanted to clap up and thank Caroline and Talius for bringing us into such a beautiful, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it in the context of really just saying this team is going to carry us through the next 25 hours. So to Ellie Spitz and Sam Schiller and Lauren Abrams and Rachel Jimenez and Emily Grayson and Rabbi Stephen, of course, and our director, Matthew Ellenwood and Talius Chickering and Benji Weiss and Josh Hare and Henry Bernstein, my husband, and Eli Newell and Erica Smith and Bex Ehrman and Jenna Cohen and Stacy Broxman and already Caroline Miller. But thank you for carrying us and lifting us on the wings of your voices and spirits. If you're still standing, you can take a seat because we're going to do one thing before we go into Baruch Hu, and that is Shabbat Shalom. It's Friday night, and so there are going to be some differences, just a few differences in the liturgy on this day, you know, relative to what there would be if Yom Kippur were not on Shabbat. And so what that means for right now is that we're doing the psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92, which we wouldn't ordinarily do on this day. And I'm just making a big deal out of it because the tune we're going to sing, Benji actually wrote. And so, yeah. And so for all of us who, you know, struggle to flex the muscles of learning new things, we want to, but it's hard, you know, the vulnerability, the not knowing. So I'm just letting you know right now, literally everybody in the room doesn't know this. And so, no shame. Listen, and when you start to get it, sing along. Benji has been coming to Mishkan for the past 8 years, has been on the davening team for the past 4 years, and writes beautiful music, and we're lucky to get to sing it.
Eres balbalon iske Shetulim bevet Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrihu Od Yenuvun B'Seva Shenim verananim yiyu Od yanuvun b'seva Shenim verananim yiyu Le'agid ki yashar Hashem Zuri velo avlata bo Le'agid ki yashar Hashem Zuri velo avlata bo Tzadik atama yifra Ke'eres balbanon yizkeh Shetulim be'evet Adonai Lechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrihu Od Yenuvun B'Seva V'Shenim verananim yiyu Od Yenuvun B'Seva V'Shenim verananim yiyu Le'agid ki yashar Hashem Zuri velo avlata bo Le'agid ki yashar Hashem Zuri velo avlata bo Eres balbanon
I'm going to invite us to stand because we're going to go straight into Baruch after this. Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrihu אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים בחוכמה פותח שערים ובדבונם משנה עתים מחליף את הזמנים מסדר את הכוכבים משמרתם ברקע כרצונו בורא יום בלילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום מביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד היי 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 אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכמנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה בהבטחה אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. I hope you'll join me. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo
Take wearing white, for example. If you look around, there's a lot of people wearing white in the room tonight. It's the color of death. It's the linen shroud that we are buried in, but it's also the color of rest that the Kabbalists would wear to greet Shabbat on Friday night, a Friday night like this one. It's also the color of love. We're told the youth of Jerusalem would go out into the fields to find their lover on Tu B'Av. There's a lot of similar sounding Jewish holidays.
But also apparently on the afternoon of Yom Kippur, which is why in some synagogues they read the thing about all the sexual sins to keep people from having their hands all over each other on Yom Kippur afternoon. While wearing white, which ties back to what you're saying.
Well, it reminds us of love. It reminds us of the love that we're saving for after Yom Kippur for each other. But today, in addition to being all those things, love and rest and wrestling with immortality, it's also the color of angels. When we say the words of the Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, which we will do together in a moment, we usually follow those words quietly with Baruch Shem Kavod, Machuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the glorious divine kingdom forever and ever. And there's this story that Moses, when he went up to Mount Sinai and received revelation, he actually heard the angels saying this as a kind of antiphonal response to each other back and forth, and kind of like the myth of Prometheus, the Greek titan, stealing fire and giving it to humankind. He steals those words from the angels and he gives it to all of us, but says, shh, say them very quietly. Don't let them know that we stole those words from them. Except for today, on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, because we are acting like angels, we actually say them out loud. So when we say the Shema, we are going to respond to those words not quietly, but loudly. It's not just that we're putting on clothes. It's not just that we are play acting like angels. We are trying to take on an angelic perspective today. What would it be like to see the world through angelic eyes, understanding the way that divine power, the generative force of the universe, is woven through everything? Imagine being so aware of that you could look around at this room right now, at each other, at yourself, and actually see that divine spark in each and every one of you. And so when we say these words out loud, we're borrowing just for a moment that angelic perspective. Let's see if you can try it on. We're on page 11.
Cover our eyes and close them. Take a full word and a full breath with each one. Shema.
Baruch Shem Kevod
Malchuto Leolam Vaed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levacha B'chol nafshecha B'chol meodecha Ve'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובחומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו כתובות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך וביתי שעריך והיה אם שמוע תשמעו מצוותי אשר לכם מצוותכם היום לאהבה ויחם בכל לבבכם ובכל נפשכם. You can sort of follow along on the screen or in your book as we turn through the next few pages. Flourish on the land God promised our ancestors. Many days of the heavens remain above the earth. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, בני ישראל אמרת להם, ישימו ציצית. אדוני אלוהיכם emet. We turn to 14. Moshe. Miriam ובני ישראל לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר הקודש נורא תהילות עושה ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה אלי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב גאלו מיד חזק ממנו היי 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 היי
possibility of second chances, but I know there's people in this room, people around the world that we are thinking of who are feeling the weight of the impossible, who are carrying immense heartbreak, who are feeling stuck in cycles of addiction or illness, violence, war. This is why we pray for each other. This is why we pray for each other, to hold hope for change when it's so hard to see ourselves. When we're stuck in that place, we need somebody else to pray for us, to remind us that there are people out there who care about them. And so in a moment, we're going to sing Hashi Vu. We're going to pray that a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace, is spread over all of us, all of those in need of that extra prayer right now. This is a big space, so we're not going to be able to hear each other from all the way across the room. But if you're thinking of somebody, we can actually stand up together. If that's okay, because we stand after this prayer. So if you want to, if you're able to rise, we're going to do so much standing. If you're able to rise, just to bring a little extra oomph behind our prayer, we're just going to take a moment and just say the names of anybody you're thinking of who needs a little extra prayer tonight. And the people near you will hear and be witness for each other. Just take a moment. Together we create the Sukkot Shalom together, a community of witness and of comfort, of holding each other up and holding each other close, so that all of us might be sheltered within it. We're on page 15.
Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha Baruch Ata Adonai Haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen, amen. Turn to 17. Because it's Shabbos. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. איי, איי, איי.
will pardon you, cleansing you of all your sins before God. You shall be released. Ki vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem letaher etchem b'chol chatzoteichem lifnei Adonai יתקדש מרבה ועמד יברחותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחייתך בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמרה ומבורך לעולם עולם לעלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלך שמי תקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ויאמרו Amen. We're going to go into our first personal silent.
As we turn to the Amida, the first of many that we're going to encounter this Yom Kippur, you're going to see a long list of chata'im, which is so often, and I think really unhelpfully translated as sin, but means something more like missing the mark. And sometimes we miss the mark on purpose, and sometimes we miss the mark by mistake. And sometimes we have the best intent, but things just don't go the way we intended. And sometimes we're a bit thoughtless. We just didn't take a lot of care with our actions. This list is meant to help us think about all the ways that we might have missed the mark this year. And this is hard work. It's vulnerable work. And with so many of us holding loss and grief after this year, when the brokenness of the world might feel much closer to home than it usually does, this might also leave us feeling a bit raw and a bit tender as well. So I want you to pace yourself. We're going to be coming back to this text multiple times over the course of Yom Kippur. And so tonight, as we encounter it for the first time, maybe think of just one way that you missed the mark, or one person that you want to reach out to after this day is done, or one way that you might want to take a bit more responsibility for yourself and for your community. You can use the words of the Machzor, you can put the Machzor down, meditate on one of these prompts, one of these thoughts, or maybe journal a bit. Remember that Yom Kippur is a journey. We're going to get through it step by step, and we're going to get through it together.
past page 40. It's where all of the confessional stuff is. I'm on page 50, and Jordan with the slides in the back. I don't believe this is in your deck, so don't look too hard for it. ויחולו השמיים והארץ, you can join me, וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, האל עליון גומל, קונה שמיים וארץ. מגן אבות בדברו, מחיי מתים במאמרו, המלך הקדוש המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו, כי בם רצה להניח להם, כי בם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודע לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מאון הברכות אל ההודעות, אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי ומניח בקדושה לעם מקדוש לעונג, זכר למעשה למעשה בראשית. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך, שמנו בטובך ושמחנו בישועתך, ותאר ליבנו לעבדך באמת, והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה ורצון, שבת קודשך ונוחו בה ישראל, מקדשי שמך. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Turn to 53. skating through. There's so much poetry in here, poetry that comes out of the Tanakh, our ancient scriptures and poetry that the rabbis wrote along the way, and nobody does all of it, just so you know. Nobody does all of it, and we're not going to do all of it, but we'll do some of it. And so, don't limit yourself to what you hear me doing out loud. If your eye catches something on the page that you think is beautiful, meditate on that. The sea is yours, and you created it. Your own hands fashioned the dry land. Your hand is the soul of all living things and the spirit of every human being. Have compassion on your handiwork, on our bodies. Save us in accordance with your name, for your essence is forgiveness. Imagine clay in the hand of a potter who will finish it and reshape it. So are we in your hand, source of compassion. Focus on our covenant, not on our flaws. Turn to 57. Shema Kolenu. We'll do this in an antiphonal way. I'll shout, and then you respond the same words. And this is all kind of practice for using our voices to say what it is that we need, to say how it is we've been hurt, and to offer forgiveness, practicing together. Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu.
Chus v'rachem aleinu.
Chus v'rachem aleinu.
V'kabel b'rachamim uvratzon et tefilateinu.
V'raga v'rachamim uvratzon et tefilateinu.
Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva.
Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva.
Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefinu.
Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefinu.
V'hegyon libenu lefanecha.
V'hegyon libenu lefanecha.
Adonai tzurenu v'go'aleinu.
Adonai tzurenu v'go'aleinu.
Please don't discard us from your presence or remove your Holy Spirit from us.
Please don't discard us from your presence or remove your Holy Spirit from us.
Don't discard us when we get old. Don't abandon us as our strength wanes.
Don't discard us as we get old. Don't abandon us as our strength wanes.
And if we're praying this to you, Hashem, help us listen to the words that we're saying and be the people we're hoping that you will be for us. Ki lecha Adonai, hochalanu ata ta'aneh Adonai Eloheinu. We turn to page 62. Oops, did I get it? 62, I think so. Oh no, 60. And because of your great reputation as a forgiver, I love that. Please forgive and pardon our sins, as it is written in your holy scripture. Lema'an shemecha Adonai v'salachta la'avoni ki ravhu. Because of your name, Adonai, and your essence, please forgive my sin, though it be great. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, silach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu, ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu, anu vanecha ve'ata avinu lanu, avadecha ve'ata Adonenu, anu kalecha ve'ata ואתה ארך כפיים. אנו מלא עוון ואתה מלא רחמים. אנו ימינו כצל עובר, ואתה הוא שנותינו לא יתמו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו. For we are not so arrogant or stubborn to speak in your presence, Adonai, our God and God of those who came before us, and say, we are righteous, we are perfect, we've never done anything wrong. אבל אנחנו חטאנו. היי 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 So Maimonides, the great legal scholar, says there are actually 5 steps to making complete tshuva. And one of them is confessing out loud, but only after you have felt regret, felt actual regret, which is to say you can name and own the thing that you did that hurt someone, even though you probably didn't mean to, and it wasn't what you intended. But 2 is you understand that there may be consequences, and you accept them, even though, of course, you didn't mean it that way. But 3 is you can confess out loud, without equivocation, without rationalization, without justifying yourself, just knowing you caused harm. And then 4 is making amends based on the needs of the person you hurt. So I realized at a certain point, just saying to my children, say you're sorry, is actually not enough. Because the question is, what would make it better for you? Right? So he knocked down her block tower. What would make it better for you? Maybe it's, could I have some space? I'd like a little space. Okay. Maybe it's, I don't want space, I want you to help me build it again. Maybe it's, I'm gonna sit here and watch while you build it. Right? But you don't know. You don't know. And so you have to ask, what would actually help make this better? How can I make it right? And then finally, 5, of course, is make different choices next time. And so what we're doing right now, knocking on our chests, saying these sins out loud, is practice. This is not a substitute for going through the steps of tshuva. If you've done real harm to someone this year, or if they have done real harm to you, they don't get off the hook by standing here and going like this in a community, and neither do you. That would be very messed up. God can take it, but we have to do the work. And so this day and this confessional is here to kind of like rev the engine, like grease the wheels or turn the gears or whatever the locomotion metaphor is. And do the real work probably outside of this service. And there's so much resistance that tends to stand in the way of really doing that. Those 5 steps I described, actually saying, I screwed up, I'm sorry, and I want to fix it, and I want to do better next time. And practicing in community can help us practice saying the words that we might not be brave enough to bring ourselves to say, and certainly not if we were just alone. Ashamnu. We are guilty. We are complicit. I am guilty. I did things wrong. I didn't mean to, but I did. We did. So the sins that we're going to see here and in a moment when we do Al Chet Shechatanu Lefanecha, these are some of like the greatest hits of sins of our people and all people collected by our sages. There are many more than the ones that are represented in the book. We're going to go through a couple sections of them, one with each service. And we say them in the plural, of course, because each one of us is responsible for something. Probably not all of them. But if you've got a long enough list, probably you can identify 1 or 2 in there that belong to you, right? And one will catch your eye, and you'll think more as the day goes on about why it caught your eye and what you want to do about it. So. Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu.
Dibarnu Dofi.
Dibarnu Dofi.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Hevinu.
Helinu.
Hirshanu.
Hirshanu.
Zadnu.
Zadnu.
Hamasnu.
Hamasnu.
Tafalnu shaker.
Tafalnu shaker.
Yatsnura.
Yatsnura.
Kizavnu.
Kizavnu.
Latsnu.
Latsnu.
Maragnu.
Aragnu.
Niatsnu.
Niatsnu.
Sararnu.
Sararnu.
Havinu.
Avinu.
Hashanu.
Pashanu.
Sararnu.
Sararnu.
Kishinu Oref.
Kishinu Oref.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Rashanu.
Rashanu.
Shichatnu.
Shichatnu.
Tiavnu.
Tiavnu.
Tainu.
Tainu.
Titanu. Sarnu mimitzvotecha umimishvotecha tovim velo shavalanu v'ata tzadik al kol habalenu ki emet asita v'anachnu hirshanu. What can we say to you in our defense, our God and God of our ancestors, when the strongest are puny compared to you, the famous forgotten, the learned ignorant, the wise foolish, most of their deeds insignificant in the big picture, the days of their lives meaningless, the difference between human beings and animals negligible, for all in the end is vanity and emptiness. What can we say to you who dwell in the far reaches of the heavens and the cosmos? What can we tell you? You look down and know all of our secrets. Help us wipe our sins clean before our eyes and yours. I'm on 65. Uvachein yihiyu l'ratzon lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu shetislach lanu al kol chatotenu v'timchol lanu al kol avonotenu v'tichaper lanu al kol pashaenu. We'll do these in Hebrew and in English as we knock, trying to wake up that hard outer shell of our hearts. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha ba'ones uv'ratzon, al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, for the sin that we have sinned before you under compulsion and willingly, for the sin that we have sinned before you by lacking compassion. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vli da'at, al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'bitui svatayim, for the sin that we have sinned before you without being aware that we were doing wrong, for the sin that we have sinned before you with inappropriate speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui arayot, al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'galui uvasater, for the sin that we have sinned before you with improper sexual practices, for the sin that we have sinned before you in public actions and privately. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dat u'b'mirma, al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur pei, for the sin that we have sinned before you knowingly and deceptively, for the sin that we have sinned before you with offensive speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah, al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'harhur halev, for the sin that we have sinned before you by wronging other people, for the sin that we have sinned before you by negative thinking. Ve'al kulam Elohai selichot, selach lanu mechalanu, kaper lanu.
So we're going to turn from the words of the Machzor to the words of the heart, the words of your hearts. We're going to be reading some real confessions from this community. that people submitted earlier. And if you're saying to yourself, wow, I wish I had the chance to submit my sins to the community, there's a book in the lobby where you can write some of those down. And so some of these are going to be sweet. Some of these will be painful. Some might be humorous, but all are real and all are from the heart. I'm reminded of what Rabbi Lizzie said at Rosh Hashanah. We can witness and even repeat back and affirm what others have said, even if we don't understand it ourselves. Even if we would have said or done something differently in that same situation, we can still have a moment of holding those rough edges with tenderness and care, saying, I see you and I'm here for you. And not all of these are going to be serious, and it is okay to laugh at a few of the more amusing ones, and we're going to hold those alongside of some of the bigger oops that are in there. And just a reminder that feeling depressed, feeling bad about yourself, feeling that you yourself are wrong, those are not a sin. That is not a sin. If that's something you are holding in your heart right now, know that we are here for you, and we're here to support you and find you the resources you need to feel that love.
For the sin of hurting feelings, I wished I hadn't joked about something so sensitive with my brother. Come back, brother.
For the sin of letting practices slide, attending Minyan, keeping a diary, doing yoga, even when parachuting in to help a friend in crisis.
For the sin of not doing rehab.
For the sin of inadvertently shaming my child.
For the sin of talking bad about a colleague when I should have given the feedback directly to them.
For the sin of allowing my obsessive nature to take hold in the realm of playing pickleball way too much.
For the sin of caring more about being in a small body than in a healthy body.
For the sin of not having spoken up sooner to anti-Semitism and waiting until October 7th to do so.
For the sin of needlessly shopping when I really should have been grieving. Escapism is real.
For the sin of being more prone to frustration than I know myself to be normally.
Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechalanu selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu. We turn to 75. Jordan, I don't think you have a slide for this, unless you do, in which case, great. But it's Kaddish Shalem. Yitgadal v'yikadash ve'rabah. Oh, look at that. Ve'alma tirach erutei ve'yamlit malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yom echon u'chayei techol beit Yisrael b'gala u'bizman karim ve'immeru amen. Amen. Yahei Shnei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olam ve'yom hayah yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yitzadar v'yitalem v'yihalal shem meder kudashah b'richu le'ela le'ela v'ko v'yirchatav v'shirtav v'shirtav v'nechamata namiran ve'alma ve'imeru imeru amen amen titgabal zelot tonu v'alchon techol beit Yisrael kadam b'vohon tishmaya ve'imeru amen yehi shlama rabba v'shamaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen amen Oseh shalom bin Roma Aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru amen amen amen. For those of you who are standing, you can take a seat, and daveners also. Oh, wow. I feel like we just got on the runway and took off, and now we're in the air. And it's and it's a gift to be here with all of you tonight on this holy Shabbos and this holy Yom Kippur. Just everything about it feels very needed and really good. This is the moment where we transition from tefillah, prayer, to tzedakah, which is another one of the big three things that we're told on the high holidays change our lives and change the world around us. For how many people is this your first time at Mishkan High Holidays? I just want to ask. Welcome, welcome. So you are about to be initiated into a tradition. And that begins with beloved community members. Where are the Thackers? Come on up. That begins with community members sharing a little bit about their story of why this community matters to them. And I'll say more later. Come on up, Thackers. Oh, we're so happy you're here. Yeah.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Matt. This is my wife, Erica. And we are so happy to be here tonight.
Can everybody hear him? Make sure that mic is on.
Hello.
All right.
Better?
All right.
My name is Matt. This is my wife, Erica. And I was just saying that we're so happy to be here tonight, building with our family, building this special community with you and your families.
Hi, my name is Dahlia. This is my big brother Rafi, my big brother Judah, and my big sister Brayden.
Matt and I joined Mishkan in 2014, coming from very different Jewish backgrounds. He grew up Reformed in the farm fields of Indiana, and I grew up conservative in the suburbs of Detroit. Starting our own family and searching for a synagogue in Chicago to call home gave us a lot of excellent options, and we explored many of them. We were searching for deep spiritual connection with our Judaism, and what ultimately attracted us to Mishkan was the effort made to nourish and grow our entire Jewish mind, body, and soul, and the music. So for a decade now, we've enjoyed songs and prayers and an approach to religion that has educated us and elevated our spirits. 2 of our children have had their bar mitzvahs with Mishkan, and our son Rafi is preparing for his later this month. Yeah. Watching our children grow on their own personal journey with Mishkan has been very special for us as parents. Our family values Mishkan as an anchor in our life. It's a place where we can be at peace, where we can rest and heal, where we can find a sense of calm in the joy and community, and we can get answers to some of the tough questions we ask ourselves. One of our favorite nights of the year started as a spontaneous solution to COVID and has become a bit of a tradition when the traveling Mishkan shows up outside of our home to film Erev Rosh Hashanah services. We get a peek behind the curtain, and we get to see all this amazing staff, the davening team, the clergy, all together building all of this for all of us. We treasure Mishkan for its approach to Judaism that strives to be whole and honest and real about the conundrums we face, connecting an ancient tradition to modern day living. And of course, the music. We love the music.
That was beautiful. How we came to be part of the Mishkan community might be very different from your journey to being part of the community. And that's something else our family really values and appreciates about what Mishkan uniquely offers. We're grateful to be here tonight and know people whose stories are often different from our very own. And we feel like in this way, Mishkan models for our children an approach to community more reflective of the real world, where at the center is our shared commitment to Judaism. But surrounding it, there's room for differences. And in that room is where we grow, by wrestling with difficult questions, but also the truth that people in our community who we love and respect and trust asked themselves these same difficult questions and might have found their way to different answers. A wise rabbi challenged Jews to build a corner of the Jewish community, to stand there amongst our differences and create a strong, flexible space where we could cry together or celebrate together. And we can strengthen each other as Jews on this very hard road of life. That rabbi was Lizzie, right? And this is our Mishkan. We didn't all come from the same place. We're not focused necessarily on the same destination, but we're here together as Jews. And our friends and fellow travelers on this journey are all unique in many different ways, and we're not afraid of those differences. We're curious about them. And that curiosity is how we better understand our Judaism and better understand ourselves. At Mishkan, these differences are part of what makes us strong. And our family has experienced that and been enriched by that in so many powerful ways. So we hope this year you'll join us in making Mishkan a priority, in giving of your time and your money to the fullest extent that you're able, so we can support and strengthen this special community of ours. What we have here is holy and precious and fragile. And it needs your support, all of your support tonight and always. Thank you. Please take a look at this short video of some of the amazing things our community does every year.
There's so much pulling our attention in every single direction, and there's so much sadness and so much heartbreak happening over the last year. And having a place where you can sit down, disconnect for a second, and just listen and think about, what do I need from this music right now? How can I heal right now? How can I take the words of this prayer and how can I translate this into my life today?
I first went to Mishkan, I'm going to guess 12 or 13 years ago. And it was the early stages, but boy, was it an experience. I would show up there typically in a suit, and there was nobody that looked like me in that room. And even though everybody walks in with very different life experiences, you feel as if you're part of something shared and all about radical inclusivity. You felt it from the minute you walked in to the minute you walked out.
Mishkan absolutely embraces interfaith couples. And as I say that, it brings tears to my eyes because it's the first Jewish space I've been in where I haven't felt like I'm letting the team down. The really incredible thing that Mishkan has given me, which is to really for the first time introduce me, a lifelong practicing Jew, to the idea of a loving God, to lead me into a place where I actually feel like I am accepted as a human being by that loving God. And I don't think I could have ever gotten there in a place that thought my marriage, which is the most important thing in the world to me, was wrong.
Mishkan is a welcoming space for Jews by choice in so many ways. The fact that Mishkan is so flexible and open-minded and welcoming of everybody's backgrounds and experiences makes it easy to feel at home and feel welcomed.
We can instill a strong and meaningful sense of Jewish identity in this next generation by giving them a reason why they should embrace their Judaism. That's what's the beauty of the Mensch Academy, which is not only about teaching Jewish tradition and prayer, it's about teaching Jewish values, teaching about Jewish community, teaching about Jewish connectivity. What resonates with them will be their experience with other Jews, especially if those Jews are different than them.
The discussions in the Israel-Palestine Book Club were interesting. What was new and surprising to me was, the younger people who were there, really how differently they saw this conflict. The clergy and the staff here, I feel, are very well trained in helping people disagree civilly. Because of the way the discussions were structured, I know I was forced to listen to them. It wasn't a space where we were just like, no, you're wrong, shut up. That's really valuable.
To be fully accepted by Mishkan has helped me fully accept myself. And part of that is through meeting so many amazing friends at Mishkan who have all taught me so much.
I have been able to step up as a leader in ways that I never would have imagined prior coming to Mishkan. The thing that really was out of my comfort zone was that I started to help lead Morning Minyan. And I feel like I've been on a real journey of kind of self-acceptance, and that Mishkan has been a big part of that journey. And my willingness to step up as a leader in this way that is deeply unfamiliar and uncomfortable to me is a sign of how much I trust the acceptance in this community, like how much I trust that people aren't going to look down on my lack of Jewish knowledge when I don't have it. It's okay here to not know everything.
Mishkan has impacted my life by creating a real purpose for Judaism. I would never have thought about a congregation, a synagogue, as a place I went to for comfort. That would have been something maybe my parents would have done, but it was never for me. And now all of a sudden, Mishkan has presented to me what Judaism could be.
This year, Mishkan Chicago officially turned 13 years old, the Jewish age of maturity. Like anyone at 13, we're growing. A lot. And as we've grown, the world has changed around us too. When we first started, we knew that we wanted a space for joyful, creative, playful, serious Judaism. A space for growing and learning and building deep connections across generations and across lines of difference. What we didn't know then was how much more important and rare spaces like Mishkan would be in our world today. 13 years in, our purpose remains the same, but we know what we do here matters now more than it ever has before. Join us as we write the next chapter of Mishkan and as we try day by day to build a world from love starting right here, together.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to the beautiful Thacker family for speaking so from the heart, and all of you all together. And thank you to Caroline and Bruce and Miriam for being interviewed and speaking about your experience also so beautifully. You know, hang on one second here. Okay, as you already heard, this is our Bar Mitzvah year. That we have grown in the past 13 years from 0 to 660 or so households who call Mishkan their spiritual home. Thank you. Is there anybody, which is kind of amazing, right? Single people and couples and families and people who came to us 13 years ago single, who then became a couple and are now our family. Is there anybody who was actually like at our first high holidays at Bodhi here? Yes, oh my God. For those of you who don't know about Bodhi, it's because it's gone. It's condos now. But once upon a time, it was this beautiful space where we kind of got our start. We have grown in every imaginable way. At this point, we give over $100,000 of adjustments to membership and tuition and high holiday tickets and educational programs, and all told, among all of our religious and education and programs for adults and teens and Maggie's Place, which is our wellness center here and across the country, we serve about 5,000 people a year in person and online, and so the impact goes far beyond this room. This has been, as you have heard and will hear and probably know from your own experience, a very hard year in 1,000 different ways. And we were able to keep the lights on and to keep the inspiration and the music flowing and the hope flowing because you or someone like you in your seat last year gave at this time. And our ability to do what we do, come what may, and to be here for you is very much determined in a real way by what happens tonight. This is, as it is in many synagogues, like our biggest fundraiser of the year. But for those of you who are here for the first time, you will see we do it in a kind of special, different way that may be shocking, but it's pretty fun. So for those of you who have been here before, you know what's coming. You know I'm about to ask you to do something very holy that you thought was sacrilegious before just now, before you realize how very holy your phone could be. I want you to reach down and resist the urge to check your email. Don't respond to texts. Check Instagram. Don't do that. Don't check TikTok. Do open up your text and dial 44321 into the text address. 44321. And write the message to 44321. Write Mishkan 5785 as a message and send it. Do we have a slide that says that? Maybe. If we don't, I'll say it many more times. 44321, and then send to Mishkan 5785. And you'll get a text link, and then follow the link and do what Erica and Matt suggested. Feel free to give an amount that stings a little, but will remind you how good that stretch of generosity feels. The thing we honestly care most about is that everyone in this room feels that they participated and does participate. If you get our need to raise funds, but really don't want to do this on your phone, we have in the back, if you go out to the info table, papers to do it the old-fashioned way, and we will follow up with you. But so for now, I want to invite out our Builder Experience Manager, Amy Nadal, who is here with this clock. We're not going to do this for a long time, but we're going to have a good time. We're going to set it for 8 minutes. And I know this sounds really wild, but we're going to try and raise our goal of $170,000 in 8 minutes. And so, while you do that, our davening team will stand up and will serenade you. You can do this leaving your name, but also you can do it anonymously, or as we always, this guy Hugh, he visits us every year. He loves this campaign. But you can have fun with this. Have as much fun as you want. Shall we? Shall we set the clock? Are we going? Let's do it. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam gesher. It's only fun if you do it though. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam gesher. V'hayikar
mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes.
All right, let's close this out. We have just like another minute here. The screen is always a little bit behind wherever we are in the room, but we also have tomorrow to get there. All right, let's close this out with some strings. Hi, 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 We'll have to have that explosive moment of catharsis when we hit our goal tomorrow. Rhonda told me she's gonna, mind the ticker, and if we hit it while we're, I don't know, listening to me give a sermon or sometime tomorrow during the ELA, then we'll have that cathartic moment. Thank you all so incredibly much for helping us do this. Truly, truly. The goal that we set basically pays for Shabbat, including food, over the course of the coming year. So if you're wondering, like where does it all come from? Part of it comes from what we do here, and I just want to say thank you. We do this because it's, the most people in the room with the most energy and hopefully the most sense of generosity. And so if you feel moved tomorrow or any time through the rest of the high holiday season, including Sukkot, 44321 is there for you. And so are we. And thank you to the D team for bringing such incredible energy, as always. As always. All right, so we'll transition into a little sermon here. How does that sound? Okay, should we do that?
Let's do it.
All right, great. Great. We sang a lot already. Your voices should rest for tomorrow. Okay. So in December of 2016, for the last episode of the year on John Oliver's show Last Week Tonight, maybe some of you remember this, John Oliver stands at the end of a football field where there is an enormous effigy of the numbers 2016, and he dramatically pushes down the handle on a dynamite box and blows up the numbers and shouts, "F you, 2016!" in a burst of collective catharsis for him and, his millions of viewers. You may remember that was December, so many of us were in abject disbelief that Donald Trump had just become the 45th president of the United States in a campaign run on a sickening brew of racism and misogyny and false nostalgia and lies. And this was John Oliver's way of expressing what so many of us were feeling right about then. It can't get worse than this, right? It feels almost quaint to look back then and think about how bad we thought it was, right? To think back maybe, I don't know, to Charlottesville. Jews will not replace us. Remember that? But there are good people on both sides. And we thought, it can't get worse than this, right? And then think back to 2020, and people are getting sick and dying, and it's lockdown, and your kid is trying to learn 4th grade math on Zoom, and you're next to him without headphones trying to work, and your partner is in the bathroom doing therapy, and the president just suggested that maybe you should drink bleach to treat COVID or inject yourself with bleach, and you think, for sure, this is the low point. I just rewatched that John Oliver video about 4 years into the comments, someone writes, 2020 says to 2016, hey, hold my beer. The entire country watches as a racist cop drains the life out of George Floyd. We witness an actual insurrection as Americans try to violently overturn a free and fair election. Roe v. Wade is overturned, and now half the states in America have all but outlawed abortion. And you think, now it's gotten as bad as it can get, right? And then this year just blew it all out of the water with its relentless parade of horrors, which, as we gather as a Jewish community tonight, we can't escape, we sit with. Just being Jewish or connected in any way to the Jewish community made each one of us an unwitting participant or expected to be an expert in this global drama, and not in a way any of us would have chosen. It's devastating when you open the news, it's inescapable when you go on social media, and for many of us, it's been a feature of our work for a full year. It's profoundly emotionally exhausting. And that's on top of everything that we were already holding for our families and in our own lives. And if you're anything like me, you're constantly pushing down the grief and anxiety and anger about all of this and so much more as you just try to go about the business of living like everything is normal, despite the nagging feeling that the world is in free fall. For me, the pain of October 7th and its aftermath was compounded by everything that came before it, the everything being the constant state of crisis that just seems to be our reality now. Coming in the floodgate that I try so hard to keep closed so that I can function. And I think that moment just broke the dam and everything flowed in like a torrent. Just like too much to bear. And I heard some version of this from many of you this year. People who never before struggled with mental health or depression or anxiety, suddenly finding yourself going down YouTube or TikTok rabbit holes, doom scrolling on social media, just getting agitated, feeling impotent to do anything constructive and yet guilty at the same time for not being helpful, feeling despondent, angry, irritable, snapping at loved ones, not wanting to get out of bed. And for those who had struggled with mental health, they were finding old coping mechanisms and strategies not working the way that they used to. So you deleted Instagram and Facebook. And then a few days later, you got itchy and turned them back on again. You know, just existing in this sort of general state of feeling maladapted and ill at ease in this world, wanting to run away and hide from it all, and then feeling guilty because for so many people, hiding isn't an option. It makes me think about Jonah, whose story we read tomorrow afternoon on Yom Kippur. If you want, you can actually go to a Torah study group to read the story. He is confronted with the sins of the city of Nineveh, and God tells him he needs to go and do something about it. And Jonah's response is to run away. Yeah, he runs away, runs from God, runs literally the opposite direction from Nineveh and tries to hide. Literally, it's powerful because the running away takes the shape of going down to the harbor and then down into a ship and then down into the hull of the ship and then going to sleep, which in Hebrew is a verb form of the word to descend, to go down. Clearly just referring to a kind of depression and darkness that he enters into, trying to shut out the world. But there's nowhere to hide, and the storm finds him. Reality seems to find us wherever we are and wherever kind of hiding place we've constructed for ourselves, thinking that it will shield us from the storm of these times. It doesn't. The waves are too powerful. And as much as I want to stand up here and say, it can't get worse than this, right? I think we all know that we have to prepare for the possibility that it will. And so the question I sit with every day is, how do we live in this world? How do we live in this world, come what may, without drowning in guilt, sorrow, grief, anxiety, depression, burnout, despair? How do we do it? And how do we not just live, but maybe even, if we could be so audacious in the face of such constant crises, how do we even thrive? I want to invite you to take a breath with me. Always a good step when feeling overwhelmed. Let's do it again. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl has written, in between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space is our growth and our freedom. And so my first hope is that the spaciousness of tonight and tomorrow will give us the gift of being able to examine how we want to respond to the constant stimulus of the chaos and trauma of the world around us, beckoning us constantly to jump into the drama, whether on social media or at our dining room tables. We don't have to, but so often we just don't feel that there's a space between stimulus and response. So part of the spiritual technology of this day is the reminder that for everything that is not in our control, much actually is, starting with our own attitude toward any given moment. But the second thing is, I would like us to lower the stakes. When everything in our feed feels like a 5-alarm fire, and it's coming directly to your phone in your pocket, it feels very personal. So it's no wonder that we feel like nothing we do as individuals could possibly be enough. But let's go back to the Jonah story for a minute. Where I left off earlier, it actually gets worse for Jonah before it gets better. A great storm comes upon the ship, and he drags himself up from his bed at the bottom of the ship, and he throws himself overboard in the hopes of ending it all. But famously, God sends a big fish that swallows him. And so Jonah goes into the belly of the fish to the bottom of the ocean. And it is there, suddenly, when he hits literal rock bottom, that he realizes he wants to live. He doesn't even know why. And so suddenly, with this yearning, this new yearning for life, with gratitude for the one life he has, he promises God that he'll do what God asks when he gets out of the fish. And so, of course, God has the fish spit him out. And Jonah goes to the city of Nineveh, where he was told to go in the first place. And this city is riven with sin and corruption, top to bottom, and violence. And Jonah goes to the center of the city and shouts an inelegant, short prophecy that the city will be destroyed in 40 days if you don't repent. And behold, the city repents. A cascade of tshuva happens from the king down to the guy on the street corner. And aside here is another lesson of this story, is that no society is hopeless or beyond tshuva. Even the archetypal city of corruption and evil and violence in the Tanakh is able to reclaim its humanity and its goodness. And this reluctant prophet, Jonah, has a role in it. And let me tell you, he did the bare minimum. And he did it dragging his feet and with a bad attitude. And yet, this is the story we tell on Yom Kippur, maybe to remind ourselves that we don't have to be the high priest or Moses or Mother Teresa or Greta Thunberg. You could be a person who just does something in response to the calls of our time. And dayenu, it'll be enough. And then maybe tomorrow you'll do a little more. And dayenu, that'll be enough too. Right? Like Michelle Obama said at the DNC. Just do something. And the word something is really important here. It's not everything. It's not everything. There are people in this room who looked at a Venezuelan family, recently arrived to the city, sitting outside of a Trader Joe's or a Jewel, and instead of walking by or offering a sheepish smile and looking away, took it upon yourself to slow down long enough to say hello, or give them some money, or go in and buy some groceries for them. And then there were a few of you who kept going, who bought the family you just met phones, enrolled their children in school, helped them find apartments, helped them find health care. Why? You must have known this wouldn't fix the immigration system. And you knew that for every family you helped, there were 10 or 20 or 30 without someone like you in their life who would not get this level of care. But you did the one thing you could do with the resources and the time that you had, and it made a difference. You did something. Ask any of these people, and a couple of them are on my staff, and I have, why they got involved in a stranger's life on that particular day. And almost nobody has a complete and totally coherent answer. It's just that this person was in front of them, and they had time, and they helped, and the helping led to more helping. And sometimes it felt great to help, and sometimes it felt confusing and difficult and frustrating. But countering the thought of there's nothing I can do to help with action, no matter how small, moves you from a place of stagnation and hopelessness suddenly to new terrain. Right? Remember the words of Rabbi Tarfon, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It is not up to you to do everything, to finish the work, but neither are you free to do nothing. So I want to invite you to take it as a personal challenge for the new year, to do something even if you aren't sure it's the right thing, and even if the problem feels insurmountable. Do the bare minimum and do it with a bad attitude if you want, but see where it takes you. None of us, not a one of us, is on the hook to fix the world by ourselves. But the doing of something is the source of the Jewish people's relentlessly hopeful attitude and posture in the world. Because hope is the belief that with work, things might get better. Whereas optimism, by contrast, is a more general feeling that things will surely get better based on nothing in particular. I think of optimism as a gift of neurobiology, and hope as a practice that belongs to and can be achieved by all of us. Hope is the practice of doing something, no matter how small, toward tikkun. Activists aren't just radicals and people who claim the title because it sounds impressive. An activist is anyone who acts in the common good, and in doing so reclaims a little bit of hope. Activists reclaim hope by acting and create it. And in doing so, actually have less time for despair and guilt and despondency, because there's important work to do. Yitz Greenberg, in his book, The Jewish Way, calls maintaining this hopeful posture in a world as broken as ours, he calls it a staggering pedagogic challenge. And so our tradition is very much designed intentionally to dedicate times during the day, during the week, and during the year for us to internalize this idea and practice it, kind of like fractals, patterns that appear in multiple places with the same idea again and again to reinforce it. And that idea is hope, embodied in the story of the Exodus from Egypt, right? The radical notion that we don't have to and must not accept the world as it is, accept oppression, exploitation, and violence as inevitable. We can't get used to it. We must continue to remember that there is something better to be imagined and worked toward. And fascinatingly, the holidays that comprise this beautiful fractal, whether Passover or any holiday in which you raise a glass and remember the Exodus from Egypt, which is basically every holiday, including this one, create that better world or the imperative of working toward a better world, specifically by not working on the holiday, but rather by resting, by disengaging from the world, so that we can slow down long enough to recover and restore ourselves for our own sake and for God's sake and for the sake of the work ahead and for the sake of creating hope for ourselves and for others. And so I just want to talk about what that will look like here today for us as we enter into this 25-hour period of disengaging from the world. So the specific objects that we abstain from on this day include food, drink, technology, sex, shopping, work, commerce, fancy clothes, and skincare products. Which is to say, on the one hand, some of the sources of our greatest pleasure, and on the other, some of the sources of the anxiety and guilt that make it harder for us to act in the ways that we want to and can because we're so tripped up in our relationships with some of these dimensions of life. For some of us, food and drink and shopping, compulsive exercise, work, sex are all places to hide, like Jonah, to escape the world. But they can also, every single one of those things, help us connect to the world more deeply and have an effect in it. So Yom Kippur gives us this kind of extreme, one-day-long communal elimination diet that gives us the spaciousness to reflect on our relationships with all of these things, how they help or hinder us in our quest to be of service. Because it's not like we lack the information about where we could be helpful out there. Literally every other email from Mishkan has some opportunity to serve at a soup kitchen or get involved in migrant justice or get involved in a local organizing campaign or write letters to voters in swing states. Seriously, folks, our emails are delightful. There's good stuff in there. You should read them. I'm sure you get many other emails from many other people in places offering you ways to do something. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel observed half a century ago that we will not perish for want of information. We have plenty of that, but rather for lack of appreciation. And the appreciation he's talking about is something called radical amazement, which I know sounds counterintuitive because part of what we're talking about is identifying the problems in the world so that we can fix them, which does not sound amazing. It sounds depressing. But knowing how to be helpful requires paying close attention to the world around you. And if you're paying close attention, you cannot help but be radically amazed by the different colors of green on the trees as you walk down your street, by the creativity and determination and the lengths people will go to take care and create a life for their families. You can't help but be grateful beyond measure for the privilege of being alive, in this infinite universe, here on this planet, in this fleeting moment in history. And yes, if you're paying attention, you'll probably be irate at the injustice and unfairness that is inescapable. Radical amazement requires slowing down and stopping long enough to pay real attention to the people around us and to what's happening in our own hearts. To observe, to notice. This slowing down, this stopping is what gives us the ability to reconnect with our own soul and our sense of purpose and be renewed, and that renewal is what gives us life. Rabbi Alan Liu of blessed memory writes, human renewal is one of the universe's great mysteries and one we tend to take for granted. When our cars run out of gas, we fill them up with gas. When our batteries run down, we recharge them. But when we human beings run down, we simply plunge into nothingness. We sleep. Nothing happens to us when we sleep. And it is precisely this nothing that restores us. When we lose touch with the nefesh, the sense of space, of emptiness inside of us, we can feel overwhelmed, stressed, overburdened. And so how do we find our way back to that spaciousness of heaven out of which we have emerged? How do we reconnect with our nefesh, our soul? There's a story in the Torah about someone getting their nefesh back. And I use the word someone advisedly because the someone in question is God. After 6 furious days of creating the world, the Torah says God stopped. Shabbat vayinafash. God stopped and did nothing and was re-nefeshed, given a new soul. we reconnect with the nothing that gives our life meaning by stopping. When we allow ourselves to slow down, like we're going to do today, to be moved, to have real conversations and explorations into moments, interesting things start to happen. You're suddenly working from a different place, not from the place of trying to consume as much information as possible, not from a place of being a keyboard warrior trying to out-argue or out-maneuver all the online enemies, and not from a place of despair at the state of things far away, but rather operating from the place of being present, where you are, attentive to the people and opportunities right in front of your face, right in your neighborhood, right in your community, whether construed, as a near community or a wider global community. But knowing what you can do inside of that is where hope lives. Some of you know I took a 3-month-long sabbatical earlier this year, and I had to take the slowing down thing really seriously, and it was very hard for me. I find great purpose in what I do, and I spend many hours, probably more than your average person, working, both because I love it, and also, let's be honest, I'm an addict, both to the feeling of being needed and having an effect on people's lives, but also in a basic dopamine-driven way to my phone. To a degree I'm embarrassed to admit. I had to make an effort, especially at the beginning, not to have it with me all the time, to leave it in a room, so I didn't know what was happening everywhere all at once all the time and weigh in with my own hot takes or pay attention to or judge other people for theirs. I pushed myself to go for walks around the neighborhood without my phone, to drive like it was 1996 without my phone. I pushed myself to read books and to read the paper version of the New York Times and spend time with my kids and my husband and my friends without it anywhere nearby. I detached from social media, where if you follow me, you'll know there ain't much there, because I realized in taking space away from it how much better I felt when I was spending more time IRL, in real life, in my physical body in this world. Taking time away from and disconnecting does not have to be like Jonah, hiding from the world. It can be more like Noah's Ark, creating a protected space where we take necessary shelter and reemerge with a greater sense of purpose for how we can recreate the world around us. And when I returned to work, by the way, the world was no less on fire than it was before, no less traumatic and chaos-filled and full of pain. But I was more steady. I was more open. I was more available to the people around me, less reactive, more receptive. Not perfect by any means, still full of mistakes and places I can do better next time. But the practice of this day is exactly that, disengaging so that we can reconsider how and where we can act to create more hope in our lives and in the world. It's a gift. I hope you'll accept with the seriousness with which our tradition offers this gift, because your hopes and dreams for your life are worth it. We asked you in advance of this holiday to finish the sentence, "This is the year that ... And you have important things you want to do. This is the year that I will finish all my half-read books. This is the year I intend to be more open to new ideas and quicker to embrace change. This is the year I will continue to increase my self-awareness and, in capital letters, CHILL. This is the year I will decide to love myself. Negative voice in my head be damned. This is the year I turn away from my phone and remember the art and skill of daydreaming. This is the year I would like to think of how I can be of service to others and less selfish. This is the year that I clear the clutter from my life, physical clutter in my house, emotional clutter, and social clutter. This is the year that I find work that aligns with my values. This is the year that I breathe before responding in a harsh way or make a harsh or judgmental comment. Good one. This is the year I help out sick friends more. This is the year that I focus on my health, both mentally and physically. This is the year I will lean into change and meet both good and bad with grace and the joy of possibility. I'm sorry, over 50 of you answered this question, so for those of you whose I didn't mention here, you also have worthy goals and dreams. Over this next 24 hours, I want to invite you to pay attention to your instincts and drives that undermine your efforts, to really observe this day and derive the benefit of the spaciousness it offers, right? Ride out the impulse to check your phone and instead say hello to a real person nearby, in a hallway. Go for a walk outside. Go to the park up the street. Sit in the sanctuary when we're not in services in the afternoon and write in a journal or just reflect. In the afternoon, go upstairs, make a friendship bracelet, go to an afternoon class. Practice slowing down. Practice listening more than you speak, and when you speak, adding kindness and gentleness and helpfulness to your world. So many of the sins, you'll notice, that we strike our chests for on this day are for not doing that. So I want to bless us tonight to accept this challenge of being radically amazed by your life and this world. And maybe we can get a little taste of what it's like to live with more joy and purpose and wonder and a sense of the renewal and possibility and hope that we need now more than ever as a touchstone for us in this year to come what may. So, Gemar, Chatima, Tova, may each one of you be inscribed and sealed for life and for health and for a year of radical amazement and hope. Now we're going to sing you kind of a lullaby.
Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air, but I sing nonetheless in this pain we share. Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes and hold each other by this tree of life. I'm angry and tired of this great divide, but I sing nonetheless with love on our side. Oh, sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow. Time and again we have been let down, but we sing nonetheless, still whole and still proud. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there.
I want to invite us to rise as we begin to close out our service. Aleinu, let our hearts be turned, let our hearts be opened.
Eleva
If you're remembering someone on their yard site or you're in a period of mourning, I invite you to remain standing. Otherwise, you can be seated. This is a prayer that we say at every service, but it feels a little different on Yom Kippur, a day when we become conscious of our own mortality, when we act like angels. Perhaps today we touch the boundary between life and death, feeling a little bit closer to those who are no longer with us. So I want us to give us a chance to bring their presence into this space. Maybe you're thinking of someone who died recently or someone who died years ago. Maybe you're still in a period of mourning, sitting Shiva or in Shaloshim, the 30 days, or that you're remembering a parent. So we're going to just take a moment. We're going to go around the room. If you want to say their name aloud. Again, we may not be able to hear you from all the way across the space, but I want you to bring their space, their name, into the room. If you're joining us online, feel free to type their names into the chat. And we'll just start over here. We'll just go around the room. I just want to share their names aloud. Maybe up in the balcony, all the way up there. Left there. And here in the left, down here as well. Anybody up here?
Keystone King.
Francesca Wax.
For all the names we've said aloud, the names we hold in our hearts, Yehi Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 80. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen, yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei almayam, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shemei d'kudusha brichu, la'ela la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshei tevel, v'imru amen.
Yehi Zichronam Livracha. This is a really long day for not just those of us who are observing it, but also everyone who is making it possible for you to hear, if you're home watching the live stream, for you to see, which is to say, all of the Mishkan staff and tech people who are helping create this experience. And so I want to shout them out and say thank you for taking care of us. those people include Jordan Golding on slides and Danny Weeder, who's doing the slide version on the live stream, Patrick Budd and Cy Nickel and Chris Leach and Spencer Meeks on the sound team, Rin Hardiman, who's kind of coordinating the technical stuff all together, Robert Salazar, who's directing the live stream. As you've noticed, there are multiple cameras, and he's the guy figuring out who watches what when, and Gabe and the team from Rishi Productions for all of our cameras, and of course, Anna Gelman, wherever you are, who's the creative director and producer of the live stream, and makes it possible for us to reach people, not just here in this room, but also at home in a way that's really beautiful. And we, and she in particular, have watched a lot of Shoal's live streams and really takes pride in how delightful ours is to watch, if we don't say so ourselves. I mean, really. So thank you, and it's really it's a gift to be able to do that. So okay, as we close tonight, I want to be mindful for everybody who is fasting, not just of what you're not putting into your mouth, but how all of us are using all of our gates of perception, how we're using all of our senses, how you are using touch, how you are using your ears, how are you using your mouth, not just for not eating, but for speaking, for breathing. How are you using your eyes to gaze, and upon what and how? How are you using your hands, not to drive like a maniac, but, you know, Rabbi Stephen has reminded us we're angels. How would an angel drive? How would an angel drive on the 9094? So I wanna just encourage you to take it slow, you know, like not dangerously slow, but truly. Imagine yourself and feel yourself to be a little more angelic on this day, and trying to see the radiance and amazement all around you, and use the quiet you find inside of yourself to notice, just to notice thoughts, desires, what's coming up, so that you can do something with it today in this day of full retreat. And be kind. That's all I'll say is be kind. Everyone you know is fighting a hard battle. So we will be here tomorrow morning at 9:15 for our kids and family service, and then at 10:30 for beginning the day of Yom Kippur davening together. We'll daven, we will read Torah and daven more. And then at 3 o'clock, we have Yizkor. That's when we're doing the memorial service. Afternoon classes are at 4 and 5. And then finally at 6, we're gathering back in here for Ne'ilah. That's when we'll do Avinu Malkeinu, if you're wondering where that goes. It's one of the ones that's not done on Shabbat, but by Ne'ilah, you get to add it back in. So take care of yourselves tonight and take care of each other, and we'll see you in the morning. Gemar Chatima Tovah. May you be inscribed and sealed in the book of life, health, love, prosperity, justice, and goodness. May angels follow you on your way home.
What a night. Really feel like we've been through something together, right? So what I'm saying to everyone in person right now is basically don't default to whatever you would be doing leaving a theater tonight. Don't just get in the car and listen to the podcast you were in the middle of on your way here, or check your email or check the news. Really try and be in a different head and heart space here on this Erev Kol Nidre. And you too at home. It's even harder actually because there's a fridge nearby. There are all the things that are temptations to do with your hands and your body and your house on any other night. But treat this night differently than all other nights. Have your journal out. Have the space where you are going to be experiencing this service, like a really sacred space. Maybe go to sleep right now. Maybe have a dream journal that you put next to your bed for the morning. Whatever it is, I want to invite you to really inhabit the space of Yom Kippur. Honestly, it's like the service itself, with us here talking and leading and singing, is beginner to intermediate level. And once you turn off the computer, the real work becomes advanced. What you're about to do becomes like 301. So I hope that you will stay present and really be inside of this day. And we will see you here in the morning at 10:30 Central. Shana Tova u'metuka. Shana Tova tichatevu v'tichatemu may be inscribed and sealed for life this year. See you in the morning.